Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another empowering live chat. I cannot wait for this live chat tonight with my guest, Miss Syerra Donaldson, and she is going to be sharing all about her journey in self growth and activating her purpose through that. She is a mental health professional. She is also a chef and an entrepreneur, and I cannot wait to bring her up to have this awesome discussion. Okay, should be coming up soon. Yes, let's get some purpose. Hey,
Hey, how are you?
good. How are
Good,
you?
good. Thank you for
It's
having me.
Yes, it is so awesome to meet you. Like, I've just been looking into your journey, and I have to say, you are a dynamic woman. I hope you know
Thank you.
that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. So, Sierra, I just want to again say thank you. And also, can you tell people a little bit more about yourself and your journey? Like, how did you become the woman that you are today?
Okay. Okay, so to start, like you said, my name is Syerra Donaldson. And honestly, since I was little, I'm not even gonna lie to you, that I could remember, I have always had like a fire in me to want to do more in life. I have always had this, I don't know, it has always been in me to just want to just be the best I can be. So as I, grew throughout life and things, life happens, things happen, people get to talk, but I always stayed true to social work because I am a social worker. And I also went to school. So I went to school at Central Michigan University, and that's where I got my bachelor's in psychology. And then I went to Savannah State University, and that's where I got my master's in social work.
Okay.
And now I'm going to the University of Kentucky, and that's where I'm getting my doctorate at as well.
All
And
right.
not only that, and to stop there is crazy because I have always had like this dire need to want to help people. I just love helping people. I love seeing people elevate in life. So I took that route, psychology and social work. But something inside of me was like, I'm still not fulfilled.
Mm.
I still was like, I was still not fulfilled, and I never understood why. And I was just praying, 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 talking to God and trying to understand. And at the time, I was actually in Arizona because I didn't even start there. I actually lived in about like 7 different states by myself.
Okay.
I travel a lot, and when I went there, though, that was like an awakening for me. I took like a few steps away from like society within its whole, and I just started to understand my self growth. I started to unlearn different things that I knew that was like bias. Like, when you grow through life and you get these different things, and you're like, no, I don't think that's right. So I started to question everything. I was questioning everything, and that's when I was like, you know what? God, you need to let me know something. Like, I need to know my purpose. Like, I know I like to help people, but what is my purpose? What else can I do to like move society as a whole? And COVID hit, and that's when I started cooking because they sent us home, so I
Mm-hmm.
was no longer doing therapy. It was just like, okay, go home. So I was there, and I started to just cook because I love food. And
Same.
but the thing about it is, I'm the baby, so I didn't have to cook. So I just started like just cooking different things. At the time, I had one of a good friend of mine. She used to stay with me at the time, and she was depressed at the time. Like, she was depressed in her room. She didn't come out. But then I was like, what if I feed her? Like, food, like therapy. Like, let me see. So I started feeding her, and she started coming out the room and started bringing me different recipes and was like, "Girl, what is this? Like, what is?" And I started feeding her more and more, and she started coming out her room more and more. And she was like, "You know what, Sierra? I think you could go somewhere with this." She was like, "Girl, your food is like healing." So she started coming out her room talking to me, being her normal self again. And she was like, "You don't even understand. You cooking for me actually healed me."
Mm.
And from then, I was just like, oh, wow, okay. Then I started talking to other people. Then one lady was like, one of my other good friends, she was like, come cook a Thanksgiving dinner for me. And never cooked a Thanksgiving dinner in my day in my life. Not lying. But I like a challenge. So I was like, okay, cool. Child, I came while I was still working at the psychiatric home doing social work, like just back and forth doing. And then I went over there, cooked the whole meal, and everybody loved it. She invited like 30 something people over, and the food was gone. And I was like, wait, so food, therapy? Okay.
Yes.
So I ended up moving to Miami back in like 2020, and I went skyrocket with
Wow.
my business. And I took a year off from therapy because I wanted to build that. And a lot of people was like, why would you leave therapy? They didn't know my concept. And I'm like, it's not for y'all to understand. Just see what I'm doing. Took
Right.
a year off, built that, came back, and now I'm back in therapy, and now I'm intertwining both of them. So I'm
Wow.
here now.
Wow. Oh my gosh, that is incredible. And honestly, I never even made the connection of food and therapy before.
Seriously?
Cause like, cause no, I'm not gonna lie to you. I love food. Like that is my kryptonite for sure. So it's like I never like really really thought about the connection between how food can actually be healing. And that's what drew me into your story as well, because it's like not only are you a chef and you've been on the Food Network, won that entire competition by the way, but you know, like that's incredible, like incredible. But like not only did you do that, but you also had a heart for helping others,
Yeah.
and that's something that I do appreciate. And Nicole World, she said in the comments, social work matters and food is therapeutic.
Yes.
And both of those things are very true, because I'm also in like social services.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a case manager for supervised release, so I work with justice involved individuals, and getting to help them and actually support them in their journeys, their goals, like that is something that is very healing
Yes.
when you can get to help somebody else, you know?
That's true. That's true. And that, well, thank you for your duties and everything because that's a hard job to do.
Girl, yes. It is. But it's like, it is rewarding in a way where you can actually help somebody
Yeah.
through like traumatic experiences. And you don't have to all the time be licensed in order to help
Thank
them.
you.
Like, you can have vicarious experiences and be able to encourage somebody on their journey as well, you know?
Right. And I when I say I second that because I always tell people all the time, I'm like, please do not let titles like, misconstrue you into the point where it's like, well, okay, that person's qualified. When it comes to therapists, I always say when it comes to the things that we do, it's experience. You understand?
Yeah.
And I realize to be a great therapist, you have to be able to go through something in order for you to actually relate properly on a manner where you can actually understand it emotional wise, you know?
Yeah.
So I agree with you on that.
Yes, absolutely. And so, Sierra, I want to talk about finding purpose through self growth. And I know that through your work as an entrepreneur and in coaching and, your own clinical research and everything,
Yes.
like, I know that like self growth is integral to finding purpose. And so, what was your experience in learning more about self growth, and how did you begin to use that self growth to find your purpose?
Okay, that's a good question. So, the crazy part about it is I'm such a animated, hilarious person. So if you know me, I play all the time. Okay, but what I realized too was I realized a lot of people in my life wasn't taking me serious as much as I felt like I was serious. I knew the plans that I had going on for my life. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like I had the visions, I had everything, but it was like I played all the time. Like I always crack a joke. I'm always like the funny one. I won like the most funniest at school. Like it was just like that was literally me. I'm just an all around person. I like to have fun, enjoy. But I realized the separation and the connection of like being serious for people to actually still feel like you're funny but serious. Or it was like, you know what, Sierra, you're just gonna be taken as a joke and nobody's not gonna really hear anything that you got going on. So that's when I was in Arizona, and I realized that I started to fully like assess my life. Because my late great grandfather, he passed away like 2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago. he was like my wise guide to life. When I went to Arizona, he told me, he was like, question everything,
Mm.
everything. He was like, I want you to get intentional with yourself, and I want you to understand who you are and what you're capable of. I didn't understand it at the time. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I know what I am. And he's like, no, everything you have learned throughout the course of your life, I want you to erase it. And I want you to relearn things that can actually be beneficial to you and what you got going on. At the time, I still didn't understand because I'm like, y'all raised me. Like, what y'all talking about? Like, But me, when I was in Arizona, I started to question everything because it was separation. Separation, growth requires separation. So I was nowhere near my family. I'm from Miami, Florida. So I was on the other side of the world by myself, little old me trying to figure out what life is and who I am as a person. So that's when I started to do things where I knew where different areas where I needed to grow in that. It was like, okay, people don't take you serious. It's time for you to take yourself serious. It's time for you to dress a certain way. It's time for you to act a certain way. It's time for you to switch up your way of thinking so you can properly be able to understand the things that's going on around you, and you're on alert. Because I was just there. I'm not. When people say I'm just a girl, that was literally just me. So it was more so like, I need for you to hone in on everything. So I started to take myself serious. And it's crazy because I seen a quote. I was scrolling on Facebook and I know it's Instagram, and I seen a quote, and it was like, in order for people to take you serious, you have to take yourself serious.
Mm.
And it clicked. It was like, so if I start showing up and actually producing real results, actually showing up and letting people know, like, yeah, Sierra's funny, but Sierra's a boss.
Mm.
Like, you understand what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And I
Yeah.
need you to respect me as such. I got to do that first. So that's when I cut out all the jokiness. Don't get me wrong, I still play, but it's a time and a place, and I realized that. So that's when I started to develop like confidence and within myself. I started to wear like bright colors and bright hair, and it was crazy. You probably be like, what? But you got to think about it. Most people are scared to even wear bright hair colors or bright clothes because they're afraid of what society is going to say. So I started to challenge myself. Don't get me wrong, I was nervous going out. And I noticed the difference between how people was like looking at me and like coming up to me. And I was like, okay, it's time for you to start feeling comfortable with that. Because there's no growth and comfort. And in order for you to actually be who you say you want to be, you gotta be able to die to your old self.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I started doing. So I started doing little things like that. Then I started learning different things about myself, like what can I actually do, like the creative side. I started learning how to do my own hair, my own makeup, my own nails. Like I started doing different things like that to build my confidence. And then I started meeting different people, and I was able to talk to them, like look them in their eyes. I used to just look at people like, hey, look over here, look over there. I started training myself. No, look at people in their eyes, talk to them, understand who you are, be articulate, everything. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like pronounce your words, like Sierra, manage yourself in a way where people look at you and be like, who is that? And I know she don't play, you know.
Yes.
So through that whole course of me doing that, it started to develop more and more. My confidence started to build up more and more. And I started growing with my business. And once I went back to Miami, that was like 2020 because I moved to Arizona. It's like 2017, 2018, I believe. Moved back to Miami, and my self growth started to more increase. I started to know who I really was, you know.
Yes.
So at this
Yes.
point, I started realizing different things that did not align to what I really wanted in life. You understand what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
the things that people always want to party and this and this and that, because I'm I started to understand how powerful I was in the sense of like my energy and what I'm actually what I could people say bring to the table. I started to realize I am the table.
Ah.
And when that happened, that landed me where I am now. And don't get me wrong, self growth it will always be a continuous thing, you know.
Yeah.
But knowing who I am, what I'm capable of, who God called me to be, and my purpose, that was a wrap for me. So that's where I'm at right now.
Oh, I love that. I really do. And especially what you said about if you want other people to take you seriously, you need to take yourself seriously. Like, that is such a fact of life, because how you show up and how other people perceive you is all a reflection of what's going on internally. And
Yes.
I also love how you mentioned about building that self confidence. And I would love to know, like, in moments of self doubt, because we all have those moments where we doubt ourselves, we have that negative self
Right.
talk. So, how do you go through those moments of self doubt, and how do you bring yourself back to that self confidence?
Okay, so for myself, I'm such a spiritual person. My Jesus Christ, that's literally, I'm not gonna lie to you, like I hate to be the person to say it, but that's really my go-to for every single thing. Because if God lives within you, who can actually be against you? You understand what I'm saying? And to actually really understand the concept of, if God is really inside of me, you understand what I'm saying? He created all of us. So if he
Yeah.
lives if he's living within me, what am I really scared for? Because God
Mm.
is a bold God. So am I really scared because of my flesh? Or am I really scared because it's uncomfortable at this point? So I start to assess. So in those moments, I assess and I be like, okay, Syerra, what's really going on right now? Are you afraid because it's something new? It's just the flesh talking. Once I start to decipher both, which is usually always the flesh talking, I immediately be like, you know what, God, I need for you to show up, and I go look at myself in the mirror. People call me crazy, but I literally look at myself in the mirror as if I'm looking at God in a sense, because God is all around us, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I talk to myself, and I be like, so what are you doing? If God brought you here, you gonna show up, show out, or you gonna cripple as if He didn't place you here because you didn't even get here on your own willing. Like my whole life is just pure miracles. I'm not gonna lie to you. The way I'm in certain positions in my life, especially Food Network, I didn't apply. You understand? I did not apply.
What?
They scouted me out and said, "We've been watching you on social media, and we love your personality, and we just want you on our show." I thought it was a lie. I thought it was a lie. That's when they ended up hitting me up again and was like, no, Alex, the chef, famous chef, she wants you. Like, your personality is everything and more. And I did not apply. That's the part that I never even told anybody for real. I never applied. They scouted me out, and it was crazy because everybody else on the show applied. I didn't have to do
Wow.
nothing. I just had to get on the flight and go.
Wow.
So in those moments, I have to hone in and understand, like, if I just have to get on a flight and go, it is already mine. It's already mine.
Mm.
So it's either I want to show up as who God told me who I am already and who He created me to be, or I'm going to play small in this world where a lot of people always play small anyways. So that's what I usually just do. I talk to myself. I talk to the God that's within me, talk to God, and I just ask Him to continue to, like, build me, you know?
Yes. Wow. I resonate with everything you just said, especially about God being our source, but also learning the importance of valuing yourself, who
Yes.
you are, and like you said, not showing up small.
Yeah.
Because so many times, and myself included, we allow self-doubt to rob us
Mm-hmm.
of a lot of opportunities that, like you said, have my name on it, that are mine, like rooms
Yep.
that I could walk in that were already predestined for me to walk
Come
in.
on.
But because we're so scared and because we operate in that self doubt and negative space, we rob ourselves of the opportunity to actually go after that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's definitely the truth. Self doubt is literally a thief. That's literally it.
Yeah.
Self doubt is a thief and it's a lie. It's not real. You understand? Like, and
Right.
I have to realize that concept too. Is once you start thinking like, oh, they probably gonna think if I wear this, they gonna say something. But when you sit back and think about it, who is they? Who
Yeah.
is they? Like, you gotta think about it. Like, once you start thinking like, if I do this, they're gonna do this. If I do this, they're gonna think this. If I go and do this and show up how I need to show up, they're gonna think this. But who are. Who is they? They
Yeah.
is self-doubt. They is not real. They is your own self-conscious of trying to keep you small.
Yeah.
Not real.
Yeah. No, that's very true because it's like a lot of the times it's our own minds. And you had a amazing post on Instagram all about changing your
Yeah.
mindset, you know? So can you like walk us through like what does it mean to actually like change your mindset and what steps can you take to do that?
Okay, so I'm not gonna lie to you. That's one of my biggest things that I like talk about, preach about, literally tell people about my mentees. Like everything in life is a choice. Everything in life is mental. Everything. You really think about it. Nobody is in control of you but you. You understand?
Mhm.
Nobody's in control of your thoughts but you. It's not until, like I said, when I was in Arizona, I was doing my whole self journey and self growth and trying to figure it out. I came across these videos and it was like a bunch of like monks and they're talking about mindset. And they were like, you can always replace a negative with a positive. No matter how much negative you have, there's always more positive. And to be a expert of control when it comes to your mindset, you will go further in life and you will actually win more in life. Because if you can control your mental, then you can control a lot of things in life. So I said, okay, let me try. Let me think. It, it came to road rage. People quickly get angry when somebody cuts you off or do something.
Yeah.
I started to test it on that. Soon as a negative thought came in my mind, I pushed it out with a positive. So when somebody cut me off, and I was like, "Man, uh, it's okay. Maybe they need to go somewhere. Maybe they need to go somewhere." And it seems crazy at first, because at first I was in a car like, "Sierra, what are you doing?" But I realized how, just like that, you are in control of your own emotions. Because I could have easily got angry and allowed that rest of my drive to be angry. But I said, no, I choose to be happy.
Mm.
So when it comes to choosing which mindset is either you're going to be negative or you're going to be positive, you can literally unlearn and relearn. It all depends on your mindset. It all depends on if you want it or not. It's so easy to be negative, but it's so much harder to be positive. But when you think about it, when you actually positive, it's just more rewarding. So you gotta ask yourself, what do I really want? Do I really want to be angry, or do I really want to be happy?
Right.
And I will be a lie if I sit up here and be like, it's so easy. No, it's not. No, it's not.
Right.
But it's that dire need of understanding that this is what I need for myself. Learning how to separate the majority and hone in on yourself and continue to feed yourself, because nobody else feeding you but yourself. So
Yeah.
unlearning and relearning everything in life, it's that point where I feel as if people need to hone in more in on, because it's all a choice.
Yeah. No, most definitely. I agree. Like, it is a choice, but it's like when you're caught up in the moment, you're just like you said, you have to stop
Yep.
yourself. Like, you literally have to be like, oh, let me just try to at least be positive about the situation or have a better outlook on it. And
Mm-hmm.
it is hard to do that, especially when emotions run high and you're
Yes.
trying to navigate, like, especially difficult situations. And I love what you said about unlearning and relearning a different way.
Mm-hmm.
So, can you talk about what was like the hardest thing for you to unlearn and how was that process for you?
So, believe it or not, I used to be an A-class crash out. Okay, I'm not gonna lie to you. You make me feel away. I'm crashing out. I'm lashing out. You did something that I felt as if you hurt me. Oh, I'm lashing out. I'm crashing out. And I realized nobody really cares about what actually happened. They only really focus on the crash out. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-mm.
They don't care. They're not listening to me. I'm telling them like, hey, but this person did that to me. They're like, but hey, you just did a lot. So when it came to that, I was like, you know what? It's time for me to fix this. That was my most biggest embarrassment. I'm not gonna lie to you, because I was a crash out. But I started to take time within myself and was like, why are you crashing out? Why are you offended when that person says that? Why did that? Why did that thing that was so minuscule actually affect you in that manner to the point where you did 10 yards ahead of that person? Like, what was the purpose of that? Once I started self-assessing, that's my main thing. I self-assess everything. Once I started self-assessing, like, you know what? Why am I doing these things? Pinpointing where these things actually coming from. That's when I was able to start turning things around. You can't really turn things around until you actually know where it's coming from. And I had to dig deep. And the deep came from childhood,
Mm.
not feeling heard, being abandoned as a child, not being seen, not being validated when I'm talking about my emotions.
Mm.
So now as an adult, I didn't realize that I carried all that. So when somebody does a slight thing to me, I'm lashing out because I demand the respect. Because as a child, I didn't have it.
Mm.
But now as an adult, I'm responsible. And once that happened, I was able to stop doing that. So I'm no longer a crash out. Now I choose peace, and I realize peace is so much rewarding, and no response is the best response. So that's what I do now.
Yeah. Wow. Oh my gosh, you're just dropping gems right now. And like Cleveland Dreams, she said, girl. And Allie Author, hey Allie. She said, I feel this. And she said, oh girl, say it louder. Like, honestly, I agree with all of those because I also identify as a huge crash out. Like, like people who know me, it's like, yeah, I'm nice and everything, but don't poke the bear. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah,
But yeah, I do like resonate with that because it's not enough to just identify what you're dealing with, but you have to go to the root.
yeah,
And I do love what you mentioned about looking back at your childhood and seeing like, wait a minute, there were moments where I felt unheard. There were moments where my emotions were
right.
invalidated. That could be informing a lot of my behavior now. And
Yes,
it's so interesting because whatever we don't address in the past, it always resurfaces in the present. Like, always. Always. And out of nowhere, too. It would be like
yes,
the most random moment. You're like, ooh, where did that come from? You
exactly.
know? Like, yeah, so I do appreciate you talking about like going to the root of the issue and really seeing that. And I can only imagine like that must have been such hard work
Yeah.
to really like examine like what was happening in childhood. And so for those who do want to start, assessing the past and really going into their childhood, what advice do you have for somebody who wants to do that work but doesn't know where to start?
So honestly, I always tell people get a journal. I'm not gonna lie to you, because if you don't write it down, everything is a thought until you write it down. Once you write it down, it turns into action because you actually can see what you actually really, what want to change and things like that. So for me, I started off with a journal. I started writing. What do I want? When do I want it? Why do I want it? How do I see myself? And actually sticking to what do I want? And that requires a lot of separation. I'm not gonna lie to you. Self growth in the beginning. I'm not gonna lie to you, because even throughout your life, you're still gonna have to sometimes a separation and things like that. But I'm saying definitely in the beginning, you're gonna have to separate, because you have to think about everything that's around you. It made you who you are. So you have to leave from these things. I don't care what it is. You gotta take some time to say, you know what? I need silence. Write down 5 things, not even 30. 5 things. What do you want? How much money you want? What do you want? How do you see yourself in the near future? what exactly like career field you want to get into, and what does happiness means to you.
Mm.
Those were some of the things that I wrote down in the beginning. I couldn't even answer it because you gotta think about it. If I ask certain people what you want in life, people can never tell you a direct thing of what they want. People will say happiness. What does that look like to you? They can't tell you because people don't really take the time to understand what it is and what it requires to get to your happy place, and what does it even look like to you. Once you start honing in on understanding like what I want, what does it look like, you're able to detect everything that is not in alignment, that is not in alignment to what you want. So
Yep.
that gives you the easier route to say, nope, 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 no, that's not it. Because if you stay tunnel vision on the things that you want, everything else starts to become sour. I'm
Mm.
not gonna lie to you. Because I swear to you, on that journey that I was in the beginning, I was like, okay, what's going on? Like, why is that person, why I'm not attracted to that person no more? Or why I don't like that no more? How come I'm feeling this way when I look at this? It's because it's no longer in alignment of what you actually want. You told your mind, body, and soul what you need, what you desire. And now everything's in alignment. So if everything else that start coming your way, you start to, nope, nope. So my main thing is get a journal. Be intentional. Write down 5 things. Don't even overwhelm yourself. Write 5 things and be intentional. That's my big thing. Be intentional, because there's women and things that I know that would tell me, "Oh, Syerra, I want a husband," but then still entertaining the stragglers. You understand what I'm saying? Or if it's like, Syerra, I want this type of career, but you're still doing what you're doing and you're not even trying to like put yourself in position to get to the next. You understand what I'm saying? So
Mm.
stop being all talk, write things down, and be all action.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Ooh, I'm like, you need a class, honestly. Like, we need this class ASAP, or like a seminar or something, because oh my gosh. But that is so true. It's like when you hone in on things that you want, or things that you want to strive to achieve, like that will become the only thing that you're prioritizing. And
Yeah.
that actually changes, like you said, the things that you used to look at. You're not even looking at them anymore because you want to be able to go after the things that will make you happy. And
Right.
I think a lot of the times, like you said, we don't have the time to really sit down and be introspective with ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think that's because of two things. I think it's because of fear of what you might find out about yourself,
Yes.
and also that we're rushing all the time. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I live in New York, Brooklyn, New York, and
Okay.
hustle and bustle every single day. And it's like nobody slows down for any amount of time to just actually rest and prioritize themselves.
Right.
So, what would you say are some helpful tips to embrace the moments of rest, or embrace those times where you can be introspective? Like, what do you normally do to like get yourself in that mode?
So I'm such a interesting person. I'm very spontaneous. So for me, travel has always been my life. I would literally pick up and just, if I'm feeling like very overwhelmed, this is something that a lot of people can't do. Unfortunately, I'm not gonna lie to you. I realize that is actually a privilege. I'm not gonna lie to you. So I'm starting to really hone in and understand. Like I'm thankful I have always been able to do that, because me, once I start feeling uneasy, girl, I would literally book a flight. I don't care what. Where is that? And I would literally just go and I'll party with the locals. Like I just came back from Puerto Rico, probably a couple of weeks ago, because I was
Okay.
having like a huge like mental thing, and I was like, you know what? In order for me, I'm feeling myself about to crash out. Let me book a flight. So, girl, I booked a flight randomly to Puerto Rico, and I partied in the middle of the street with locals, and we were dancing and partying and things like that. So, things like that I do, but also I'm a water baby. So I go to the beach. I go to any lake. I do things that I know my soul will be recharged. I'm a tree hugger. I go to the park and I hug trees. And for me to be grounded again, I go to the park and I walk barefooted with just on the grass with no shoes, no socks. And I talk to God. I do these things to like go back to who I am. Because you get so caught up in work, 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 work. And I'm trying to do this. I'm on a mission. I'm on a mission. And we fail to realize that we're not robots. And once I start feeling burnout, I start doing things that I know that would, benefit my soul. Like I go out to eat. Like I said, I go to the beach. I travel. And I'm such a people person. So like a lot of people always tend to invite me to things. So I'm like, all right, girl, I'm gonna just go. Like I'm coming. I'm coming. So that's how I keep myself grounded. I'm not gonna lie.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm right there with you, especially I would love to travel a lot more than I do now because I need to start prioritizing
Right.
that. But I agree and like doing things that bring you peace. Because a lot of the times things that you think are supposed to be restful, you don't actually like. You know what I mean? Like it's important to really assess what you love to do.
Right.
Like for some people, they love meditating. I don't love that because like sitting and being quiet with just your thoughts, I'm like, I'm gonna have to just I'm like, I'm just gonna have to put all these thoughts on paper.
Right.
That's how I really sit with my thoughts. Cause like, girl, I can't do
Right.
the sit in silence and just meditate on whatever. Cause I'm gonna deviate. But
Right.
that works for some people. It doesn't work for me that often. But you gotta find what actually works for you.
Yeah.
You know?
Definitely. I fully agree with that because in the beginning I used to meditate a lot. I'm not gonna lie to you. But I realized like I started meditating and then I started thinking about something else. I'm thinking about this and I'm getting hungry and I'm like, you know what? I might just go eat and talk to God. So I feel
No,
you.
for real. I mean, hey, it's a proven method for some. I mean,
Right.
I'm just not among the some. Um, but yeah, I also want to talk about. You mentioned this before, but I want to talk more about your faith and how that informed your mental health journey because I love to talk about the balance of mental health and faith. So, how has faith helped you in your mental health journey?
Honestly, faith has always been because I'm a church baby. So I grew up in church and things like that. And definitely I departed and then I came back. You can't never go too far. So with that being said, my faith has always been something that I hold sacred to me because growing up I lost my mom, I lost my dad. I lost a lot of different people in my life that was like at a young age. Like I lost both of them in fifth grade, sixth grade. So it was like back to back.
Oh,
And it was just like, it was either me lose myself to this world or find something to believe in. Because if you don't believe in anything, you're going to fall for anything. And
mm-hmm.
I realized growing up, once I started losing everybody in my life, um, I realized I was so easily persuaded to do things that I knew it was not okay. You know, people started telling me, "Oh, do this, do that, Syerra, do that." And I was doing it. I'm not gonna lie to you because I wanted to find my sense of like normalcy. I wanted to fit in. I wanted to find my tribe. Everybody wants to fit in. So I started to just do whatever, and I realized like that didn't sit right with my soul, and I started to hone in back on my faith. I was in high school, and I ended up meeting this group of people, and they started to introduce me back into God. And I was just reading in my faith, and just going to the Bible studies and things like that. And then something happened, but then over time it developed because it was like I'm out here by myself. It's either I find something that's going to bring me peace, or I get swamped up or swallowed by the world. And I'm not gonna lie to you, like when I was in Arizona, I went on a whole spiritual, when I say my spiritual journey was actually like a spiritual journey. Like I was traveling to, I don't know if you know anything about Arizona, but it's very spiritual there. So they have like, it's different religions, different things. They have peace parks. They have so many different things that you can go to understand like what faith you want and things like that. So don't get me wrong, like at one point I didn't even know if I was Christian. I didn't even know if I was that. I didn't know. I was just like, I just need to know if there was a God. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
I just need to know if there was a God. And I started to go on these journeys, and I was going on these journeys by myself. And I started to look around, and I'm like, the only thing that has been keeping me here has been God. It has to be a higher source somewhere, because the things that I come encounter with, the people that I come encounter with, the situations that I always end up in, I'm always okay. So somebody has to be up there looking after me, protecting me, because there's people that die on a daily. I escaped death plenty of times. I'm not gonna lie to you. Before I even moved to Arizona, I was in a fatal car accident on my graduation night. I had 50 people come from my graduation in Savannah with my master's. That night, later on, I fell asleep behind the wheel going home. I fell into a lake. I flipped over 3 times. Ended up in a
Oh,
lake. Car totaled. I was hanging, dangling from the top. And I remember it was just me and God in the car. And I was like, God, this ain't my life. I see the water coming up in the car, and I'm like, this is not my life. You got more for me. Because I should have been dead because I had no airbags in my car. Because I got into a car accident a week before. So the fact that I was able to even get out, mind you, the people who actually helped me out, the police officers still to this day call me a liar because they said there was nobody there.
wow.
So serious. How I got out, I promise you, it was two. Well, I seemed like it was like piercing, like people. Like it was just like you could see through them. It was so weird. And they helped me get out. Like they put a pole down there and they dragged me out. I was able to get out the car. And when the police came, there was nobody there. And the police officer was like, nah, how did you get out? Like, what's going on? And I was like, it was these people. And they were like, there's no tire tracks. These are all yours. Like, what are you talking about? To this day, they gave me a ticket because they said they thought I was a drunk. They thought I was so drunk.
Yeah.
They gave me a ticket and my car was totaled. But from that day, that's when I said, I gotta have more in life. It has to be a higher source.
Wow.
So when that happened, I started to, when I was in Arizona, right after, I just started to seek out, what is my faith? Who is God? What is God? Why is God? What is faith? How can I even what is that? Then I started doing the work, and I realized my entire life has been a testimony. And that's when I was like, you know what? The only reason I'm alive right now is because of God. Like, think about it. I told you my mom died, dad died. You don't think I had suicidal attempts? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, so it's a lot of times I was not supposed to be here, but I woke up the next day.
Wow.
So when it comes to my faith, I do not play. I don't care if you like me or not. You gonna hear about God, baby.
Yes. Wow. Wow. Oh my goodness. Like I'm sorry, I was just really taken aback.
No, it's
But
okay.
wow. It's incredible though, because I really agree with what you said about faith being a source, but not only just to have faith, but it's the hope
Yeah.
that comes with it. Like, just to share a little bit about my story, I got diagnosed with bipolar disorder in January of 2021.
Okay.
And when I tell you that really rocked my entire world, like it really did, because I also grew up in church. But when I tell you that my faith was tested in such a way where it's like, okay, I had to unlearn, like you said, I had to unlearn a lot of the theological things and the
Yeah.
things that I used to believe about, oh, if I do everything right, nothing bad is going to happen, really,
Yep.
you know? And so I had to change a lot of that and really get to know God for myself. And once that happened, it's like the hope that I have, especially in dealing with mental
Mm-hmm.
health. I mean, because that in of itself is an entirely different beast on its own.
Right.
But to know that you have that hope, that's an anchor to be able to keep you in those times when it is difficult. I
Yep.
mean, that's why I do the podcast, because it's not only mental health education, but I'm sharing also how faith could give us the hope that we need to
Yes.
be able to move forward.
Yes. I totally agree. I do. And I honestly, being diagnosed with something that's not the end of your life, it's something new. And obviously, you utilize that and you be a testimony for others, Because a lot of people that get diagnosed with certain things and they be like, that's the end of my life. Oh, yeah. Or they make the diagnosis their self, They make it their identity. That's not your identity.
Right.
Part of you, but it's not your identity. So.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And that reminds me of something I heard on like the Braxton Family Values. It
Mm.
was Tony Braxton. She was like, I have my diagnosis. My diagnosis doesn't have me.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is just so powerful because you're right. We do often make our diagnosis our entire personality and saying, well, this is who I am now. And I've learned to also change the language instead of saying I am bipolar, saying I have bipolar
Right.
because, like, I'm not adopting it as something
Thank
that
you.
is part of me, but it's something that I have.
Thank you. And I love that because choice of words are everything. And that's the part that a lot of people don't understand too. Choice of words, like you said, I have it. That's not you. Like, okay. That's like you just discover something else. Okay. So what can I do to be able to manage this in order for me to still show up as myself?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Well, Syerra, I want to thank you so much for such an empowering conversation. I mean, like Nicole World said, amen to all of that. Like, I definitely agree. And before we go, I have one final question for you.
Yes.
What advice or words of encouragement do you have for someone who is struggling to manage their mental health?
I will honestly say understand that you're not alone. Understand that the weight of the world can definitely feel heavy. But if you seek out for actual help, because that's the part that a lot of people are scared for, it's like help, because I don't want to be embarrassed. Seeking out help is actually a form of courage. So if you seek out help and actually hone in on understanding that there's a tribe out there for you, you'll have a little bit more faith and you will start to discover and understand that your mental health is not as big as you may think it is because other people are dealing with the same thing and there's tools and things out here to actually be able to help you. So people that's dealing with mental health, I always tell them or I try to tell them, listen, you're not alone. Just because things glitter, that don't mean it's always pretty. People just know how to hide and mask their things. So just know that you're loved. There's help out there. And if you just take that leap of faith of, I need help, hey, I guarantee you're going to start to be able to live and you're going to be able to stop surviving in life.
Yes, absolutely. Well, again, Syerra, thank you so much for such an amazing conversation.
Devin, thank you for having me. Like, I appreciate you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes, of course. And everyone, stay tuned for more empowering episodes on Rough Edges.
Y'all tune in.